Hello, dear speakers, projects, and viewers of today's Latoken Roadshow. We are online now. Let me quickly introduce our guest today. So, Latoken Online VCTV, this is the format in which we're broadcasting today. In addition to the primary goal of connecting entrepreneurs and startups to investors, our online roadshows, panel discussion, and pitch competition attract many industry leaders in the biggest name in venture capital and money management, as well as renowned public speakers, including, as you can know, former presidents of Mexico and Bulgaria, former top-level US government officials, and Nouriel Roubini, the foremost Stern professor and outspoken critic of crypto. As you see, we're in favor of open and straightforward discussions and welcome people with various opinions and viewpoints. Let me pass the floor to today's show moderator, Nadia Nesterova. Nadia, please.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Nadia Nesterova. I'm independent director of the board of the National Alternative Investment Management Association and advisor to the leading GPs, including Da Vinci Fund and other private equity, real estate, and hedge funds. And today I'm happy to introduce you to our investor panel discussion. And we have the following renowned speakers. It's Sandeep Naval, co-founder and CEO of Matic Network; Herbert Sim, the Bitcoin man, founder of Crypto Chain University; Kendrick Adrich-Kerningen, founding partner of Lunex Ventures; and Ruben Yep, project steward of Zcoin. We also have a pitch competition today, followed by the panel discussion with two projects, which we'll announce further on. And I pass the floor to Soni Mahanti. She will do the first round of questions and introductions with more details on the investment strategy, investment policies of each of the investor participants today. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. Thanks for that introduction. Hi, all. So I'm Sani Mohanty. I'm the Regional Director of Latoken Singapore, and I would like to start with a few questions. So my first question would be, are investors and VCs still investing during this pandemic? If so, are you investing, and what was your last investment? I would like to start with Kendrick. Kendrick, please, can you take this question with a short intro about yourself? Thank you.
Sure, thanks, Sonny. Happy to answer that. Yeah, so I'm Kendrick. I'm the founding partner of Lunex Ventures, and Lunex Ventures is a dedicated blockchain and crypto fund that's attached to Golden Gate Ventures in Singapore, and Golden Gate Ventures is a traditional VC. So we do both liquid crypto as early stage startup investments. So we do mostly kind of seed rounds around the open permissionless chains and the infrastructure related to that. So we've done exchanges, wallets, custodians, like these kind of investments. So our last two investments, one was Blue Wallet, which is a Bitcoin only wallet for mobile. And the one after that, just kind of pre-COVID circuit breaker, was Accredify, which is a certification company based here in Singapore. So yeah, like we are definitely still investing. We still have capital to invest, but I think just like everything else, things are just really kind of like everything has slowed down. Like your service providers are slower. It's much more difficult to meet. Like you cannot meet people, right? So, and especially for kind of if you want to invest in a startup, it's more of a relationship with a founder almost, rather than just a pure money investment, because you have to work with these founders, right, for many years into the future, and you definitely want to meet them in person before kind of making an investment or before making a significant investment. So that makes it a lot harder. Like it's not like capital has dried up because most VC funds have long-term commitments from their LPs. It's more that you cannot meet in person, like that human touch is gone. And so like you meet a lot of people over Zoom, but obviously that's very, very different. So yes, we still are, and we're evaluating a deal right now, but I would say everything is much slower than it was before. Yeah.
Okay, so when you say it's difficult to do these meetings on Zoom due to the lack of human touch, so are these deals getting delayed, the closure, or are you looking to close them over Zoom as well? I mean,
so I think I'd say like the bar maybe goes up even higher. So we're evaluating one deal currently, which I would probably close over Zoom because I like it so much. But pretty much things that you otherwise would be a little bit on the fence, and then you meet the founder, and the founder is a really good chemistry with the founder, then you might be convinced to still do that investment. Those are just much harder today. Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Hubbard, over to you with the same question. You're on mute.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Herbert Sim. I'm thebitcoinman.com, founder of Crypto Chain University, established in 2010. So the Bitcoin Man has evolved recently in 2018, whereby I started investing into projects as angel investors. Thus far, the investment sizes have ranged from about $1 to $3 million each. And thus far, I've already invested into approximately 8 different companies. The most recent one is in March. It's this project called BeFaster.fit. You can go check it out. They're currently doing their IEO raise, actually with Latoken. And the founders, so it's a health mobile application app. So when I actually invest into projects, it's like what Kendrick shared earlier. It's about the chemistry with the founders, the core founding team. That's very important for me. And then, of course, before I invest, there's a whole due diligence that is done into the tech that they claim they have. Okay, it's very normal for projects across the world, to shield and brag about what they have, which they may not have. So it's empirical for any VCs, to actually do their due diligence. I'm also saying this specifically for all the retail investors out there, because as retail investors, typically they would not have the investment background of knowledge to specifically invest into startups, right? So I think during the whole 2018 and phase, there were a lot of scam projects that actually managed to raise millions from all these retail investors. So I think that actually gave a bad name to the industry of crypto, which I hope during this course of time to actually educate and arm retail investors with more knowledge so that they do not make the same mistakes as those from the past. So personally, myself, during this period of time in COVID-19, I am actually still actively looking out for projects to actually invest in. And I'm getting pitches almost daily from people reaching out to me from Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and more. So I'm also looking up all the investment decks on my email. And I actually have a team. You might have seen her in the previous video, Francine Jensen. She's valedictorian from Cambridge Law School as well, and is also my chief strategy officer and actually vetting through all these projects. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Herbert. Let's move on to Sandeep. Hi, Sandeep, you're on mute. Yeah, can take the same question, please.
Yeah, so basically, see, we are a ecosystem project, like we are a blockchain platform, and we have one of the largest and the fastest growing ecosystem of the projects coming onto Matic, and that's why you see a lot of buzz around it in the markets and everywhere. So what we have, especially in terms of investing, so we don't invest per se, but we give free grants to our the projects who are building on Matic. So although these grants are small in size, but we help them in terms of their technical issues, in terms of marketing, getting them early users, testing out their ideas and all that. And
Hi, Sandeep, we can't hear you. You've frozen.
Yeah, I believe Sandeep also has a problem with video.
Okay, let's move to Ruben Yap now. Hi, Ruben, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing well. Great to be on. And my name is Ruben. I'm from the Zcoin team. I'm the project steward. We've been around since 2016, and we are a privacy-focused cryptocurrency where our technology is about building, zero knowledge proofs without trusted setup. And I think one of the key milestones that we achieved sometime in 2018 was we conducted the first large-scale political election, where the Thai Democrat Party actually used Zcoin to do its primary elections on it with over 127,000 votes cast nationwide. So anyway, back to the original question. I mean, if investors or VCs investing, I think, one of the metrics that that I've been actually looking at is like the number of whales in Bitcoin. I mean, I can only speak into the cryptocurrency space, and we are actually seeing increase in numbers of whales, which we define as people above 1,000 Bitcoin, even as the price goes up and down. So, some serious people are accumulating. And I think even, just looking at the markets in Zcoin, we have been seeing some huge buying activities as well. So I don't really know what that means in the grand scale of things. I still think that as a whole, I think people are still on the sidelines, but I do think that there's some significant interest that are quietly acquiring over this period. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for your perspectives on investments. But since you belong to a cybersecurity startup, I would like to know how you are using this pandemic situation to your benefit, actually, because a lot of security breaches and issues as we're now living in a virtual world.
Sure. I mean, like, of course, like Zcoin isn't like a cybersecurity firm per se, so it's not that we do audits and stuff like that. But in the security space, of course, like everyone's heard about Zoom and stuff like that. But I think on a more practical standpoint, I think as a startup, like, what should you be doing in this kind of environment is that I think focus less on marketing, especially if you're in the cryptocurrency space, and be more focused on acquiring talent that will bring you across the line. Because right now, there are many talented people, and with very specialized skill sets that are now up for hire. And this is a great time when people are hungry to actually acquire this type of people. But on the meantime, you may need to let go some people that you can, unfortunately, more easily replace. And I do feel that investment in like cryptographers, in really high high talented coders is really good in this environment, because everyone's trying to survive. But if you have the money, this is the time to acquire some talent.
Absolutely agree to that. Talent, yes. Sandeep, I think we lost you in the middle. Would you like to continue with the question?
Yes, absolutely. So I was saying that, and Ruben just closed it at a very good point. So I was saying that, we being, we actually, I think in terms of the foundation, we were able to manage the risks very well in the COVID situation. And we are in a very, like, kind of a, healthy situation in terms of our foundation and, our growth, this thing. So that's why we are, openly giving more and more grants. I think within last 2 months itself, with this all COVID mayhem, we would have given more than 10 to 12 grants, which is like, you can think of it like every 1 to 2 grants every week. So, this is the time. And then, we ramped up the team. Today, we are like around 35 people. We hired around 7 or 8 people. And, as Ruben was saying, there are actually sheets floating around where people who have lost their jobs, but they are really good people, be it technology, cryptography, or business development and everything. And we are hiring also very heavily. And I think that with the kind of strength Bitcoin is showing right now, which is kind of a good omen for the whole industry, I think the teams who have managed their risks well and then can survive for this tough period, which might be there for maybe 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, whatever, but then you can come out victorious on the other side, and then can really have a kind of a dominant situation in the market, because you would have seen these bad lows. So that's what is our objective. We are actively giving grants, and if there are projects which have significant number of users, we as foundation, we even make a bit more like medium-sized investments also in them, and we are actively considering already around three to four right now.
Oh, fantastic. So projects who are listening to us today, so your programs from Matic. Okay, thank you. So the next question would be, what are your predictions of areas that investors will desire to invest in and why? Because the trends have shifted, the future of work looks different. So Kendrick, would you like to take this question? Yeah.
Sorry, the expectations for what?
Yeah, the predictions. Like, so as an investor, which areas are you looking to invest in future?
Yeah, so for us, it doesn't really change that much. So we've always been focused very much on as I mentioned, the infrastructural kind of pieces of the whole crypto puzzle, right? So like I still view it as like we're building a whole new parallel kind of financial ecosystem, and all of the pieces that we have in the traditional world, we also need some form, one way or another, or it looks slightly different. We also need it in this new kind of crypto world, right? So, and that's still very early days. But I think with this whole situation now is that people are just becoming much more accustomed to all things digital. Digital currencies just make sense. People have a lot more time to learn about it, to study it. I think it just accelerates the adoption. And yeah, like I agree that Bitcoin's adoption and bull run will continue throughout this year, next year, and that will wake up a lot of people again and look at this ecosystem. So I think everything is kind of, at least for our industry, I guess we're quite fortunate that almost everything we have is digital, right? But so just anecdotally, I know some other startups, for example, on the side of Golden Gate, these startups, they had a booking mechanism for sports activities or to meet with people to play sports, right? And these guys are in serious trouble right now because obviously nothing is happening. And yeah, I think we should be really happy and fortunate in terms of the industry that we're in. It's getting a lot of tailwind, I think. So our thesis remains the same. I think it's just adoption that will continue to increase and a little bit faster than before.
Awesome, thank you, Kendrick. Herbert, would you like to take that question with the flavor of CBDCs as well, like you were mentioning before?
I think you want to repeat the question again so that the users are aware as well.
So what are your predictions of the areas that investors like yourself are looking to invest in starting from now in the next 3 to 6 months?
Okay, so very quickly, for myself as the Bitcoin man, and the whole entire portfolio is actually all about cryptocurrency blockchain projects. So the way I invest is typically projects that are able to fit into the whole ecosystem of blockchain. So so there are many projects out there in the market that simply just slap a layer of blockchain on it and try to raise money out of it. So this actually worked in early 2018 until many of them just took the money and left, giving the whole crypto industry a bad name. Okay, but that being said, I think users today, investors across the world are getting smarter. They learn from the mistakes from the past. So same thing for VCs across the world. They have made many mistakes as well, investing into projects that end up to be not fruitful. Okay, but now the thing is, the way I see it is across crypto winter, the whole entire industry actually matured along the way as well. So the projects that actually survive up to date are those that I would say are worth taking a second look. You know, example, we have Zcoin Ruben here that has came a long way. I think to even go through this crypto winter, it's quite a feat. Okay, because there are many projects that just disappeared along the way. thousands of them. If you would follow the progression from CoinMarketCap, thousands have disappeared already. Yeah. So that being said, even the big boys, the top 10, if you would see in the high day, they were all in the top dollar, billions. Today, they are barely struggling through in the 100 million category. Yeah. Okay. So back to the topic about Bitcoin specifically. As the Bitcoin man, I'm pro Bitcoin. And for me, my background, previously I was Global Operations Director at Huobi and Chief Marketing Officer at Cryptology. I've seen the whole market shift from 2010 up to date. And what I want to say is basically 2013 to 2017, almost 80% of the world trading volume in crypto was from China itself. Okay, so if you know that, then you will actually understand why cryptocurrency in general, the whole trading volume collapsed after December 2017, simply because the biggest country of all the retail traders were from suddenly decides to have a blanket ban. Okay, because of this blanket ban all across China, I would say the whole cryptocurrency trading volume just took a beating instantaneously. So the whole of 2019, we saw crypto winter. Even up to date, because the new owners of Bitcoin are basically financial institutions, you know, all the big FSIs from the likes of JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, that don't understand about the whole angle of how Bitcoin became $20,000 in the first place. Yeah, this one, you can actually refer back to my debate with Roger Ver on stage last year. I actually gave a lot of insights into why this exactly happened. Yeah, but that being said, if since with my sharing of this research that China is the biggest player for cryptocurrency, I think users have something to look forward to since China is about to launch their own cryptocurrency today. Yeah, in fact, they are already testing it on at Starbucks and McDonald's. It's a matter of time before it goes nationwide. And when that happens, the bull run for Bitcoin is going to happen. Yeah, and if you refer back to December 2017, when Bitcoin bull run happened, all the altcoins had a bull run as well. So I think our fellow panelists from the likes of Matic to Coin, Zcoin will all actually benefit from this as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Very good points there.
I also
touching
want to
base
add,
on.
Sonny, so, you know, I just also want to add, you were asking earlier that why ideally these two things should be separated from each other, right? And like, these are actually opposite to each other. That, you know, if Bitcoin increases, why are the, you know, central currencies increasing? But it's more about, you know, a kind of a big thumbs up to the technology behind it, right? So when Facebook was also launching Libra, right, last year, we had a huge bull run where Bitcoin went to like 13,500 or something like that from 6,000-7,000. So at the end of the day, even Libra was supposed to be a different asset, right, rather than Bitcoin. But the whole industry looked at it from a perspective that this is a big thumbs up for the technology behind it. And then, you know, Bitcoin, in terms of its ethos of the network, in terms of its, decentralization and sovereignty, it will eventually win over other, currencies. And that was the whole logic due to which, you know, the markets took it as a very positive sign. And I completely agree with Herbert on that, you know, with this China CBDC thing also, market will take it in a very positive stride.
So coming to like you obviously coming from a India perspective, what changes do you see like after the ban was lifted?
Yeah. So see, I mean, first of all, this is a kind of a big misinformation that there was ever a ban on Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. There was never a ban. There was only a circular because in India, the federal bank controls all the banks. And there was a simple circular from federal bank that you should not support exchange accounts. That was the only thing. There was no ban. There was still trading going on. People could easily go and P2P, you know, trading was happening. People created, and Indian exchanges actually came out with very like kind of brilliant designs where we created a network of P2P, kind of merchants where rather than you depositing your fiat money into the bank, into the exchange, which is not having a bank account, they had networks of these merchants, like medium tier merchants, where you actually deposit it into the merchant, and then the exchange credits you on the exchange, and you trade. And when you are cashing out, the merchants actually make payments to you. So even in India, before this thing happened, you could easily buy, let's say, up to $10,000 worth of crypto, and then or easily sell and then bring that money back into your account. It's just that money of $10,000 will not come in one single transaction. It will come in a multiple transactions, because they club the peer-to-peer payments with each other. So that was the kind of brilliant designs they did. So what recently happened is that courts simply said, because India is a very democratic country and that our democratic system is very open and everything. So people appealed to the courts, and courts said that bank has not done enough due diligence, as well as it's against the fundamental rights of the citizens. So either the government or RBI declare it as illegal, or you have no right to ban anything. So now if the government comes back or RBI comes back and they still want to ban it like what China did, they will have to bring a law. Only when they bring a law, then courts can say that, okay, now you can try to stop these activities. So you have to take a side. Right now, what Indian government and Indian agencies, the government agencies were doing, they were actually just creating a scary environment for the retail people so that they are pushed away. Because before this circular coming in, Indian markets were already had become top 5 or top 3 markets in the world. Like after China, US, Korea, I think India was 4th or 5th largest market. So they just wanted to push back the retail investors, because as other fellow panelists and Herbert were also explaining, that retail is very susceptible to fall to these scams, and that's what government wanted to protect, and they were successful in doing that. Now with that circular aside, now exchanges can have bank accounts and you can directly deposit and withdraw from bank account, but that was anyways not a big problem. But what it has done is that this circular, after this came out, right? So I actually got married in 2018, right? So I didn't understand what exactly I was doing. That are you doing something in gray in terms of the legal thing? So now what it has done is that the larger public and the entrepreneurs believe that, okay, this is absolutely fine. And what it is doing is that bringing all those entrepreneurs and developers in the ecosystem and building new things. So.
Okay, thank you, Sandeep. Thanks a lot for that clarifications, because we all were thinking it was banned in India. Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. Quickly moving to Ruben. Ruben, as a successful startup, what is your business strategy right now? I mean, what are your founders thinking to stay, sustainable these times and the uncertain times to come? Because we don't know when this COVID-19 is going to get over and when it's going to be business as usual. So what is your business strategy right now?
I mean, I think it's wrong to see Zcoin as a business. I mean, we are a decentralized cryptocurrency. In terms of a founder, I mean, yes, we have a founder, and there's me, who's the project steward. I don't think there's I mean, the way I see it's not as a business, right? It's more about, okay, it's a long-term survival of the project. You want more adoption, and basically, to prove that your technology works and there's a real use case to this. Now, right now, I mean, one of the things that I've been beginning to realize, especially during the COVID situation, I think one of the recurring themes that we are seeing is that the whole brr money, the meme, right? And I think people right now are really I don't think people really understood what quantitative easing was until quite recently. I mean, maybe a bit in 2008, but very much more so now. And I think, personally, of course, besides continuously building, being and more transparent about what we do, I think it's also really important to educate and build that narrative. Okay, one of the things that we've always, in the cryptocurrency space, we always talk about uncensorable, unseizable, all this self-sovereign currency. But that isn't actually the case with most cryptocurrencies, because how can you say you're unseizable and uncensorable if you don't have privacy? And, I think this is something that a lot of people aren't thinking about, because of course they say, yeah, Bitcoin's uncensorable, unseizable, but North Korea is getting Bitcoin, Venezuela is also getting Bitcoin. When Iran is getting Bitcoin, they're building farms there, mining farms there. I think it's only, and especially when exchanges are getting more and more regulated, I think it's very naive to think that, yeah, and with all this travel rule and stuff where you have to report everything. So I do think that people have to think, okay, is cryptocurrency just a big casino where we make a lot of money? Or is this, back to the original precepts of having self-sovereign money? And I think in Zcoin, I think we've been focusing too much on the technology. Zero knowledge proofs, trusted setup, simple cryptographic constructions. And that's, I think, the wrong way to approach it. I mean, too much of blockchain has been about TPS, scalability, and, all this sort of stuff. But I think we need to actually reach out to the regular Joe and say, like, what this means to you. Do you want money that can be printed at any time? What retains value, what retains privacy and unseizability, especially, with CBDCs coming. This is, I know Herbert has said that, this will trigger a new resurgence in cryptocurrency interests. And perhaps that's true, but logically it does not make sense, in the sense that CBDCs are against decentralized cryptocurrencies. It's actually a war between each other. One side is trying to say, I want complete control. I want to see how everyone spends. I want to control my citizens. If I don't like you, I cut you off from the financial system. Well, decentralized cryptocurrencies are the perfect antithesis to that. And hopefully, with a rising tide, lifts all boats. But anyway, that's my thoughts on that. I went a bit off topic. Yeah.
No,
I think
absolutely.
Ruben actually brought a very good point. Okay,
Yes.
I'll quickly jump in there. Okay,
Sure.
it is right that it is actually a war between the current crypto, Bitcoins, Ethereum, and what have you, versus the central bank's cryptocurrencies. Okay, now I would say it's still a very early stage at this point of time. As we all know, China will probably be the only one that would actually pose a competition at all to the current crypto. I mean, Rupiah. Okay, Indonesia launched theirs, Rupiah. We have British Virgin Islands launching their own token as well. But all this will not even pose a dent on the current crypto market at this point of time. Okay, the one that would really pose a challenge would be from China, and maybe possibly eventually even India itself. And when all these superpowers come into play, I would think that the likes of US will not just stand by and just watch it play out. They would actually come in and challenge as well, take a portion of the pie. Okay, but that being said, at this point of time, right now it's still a very early stage to actually make a standpoint on how it would be. If it would actually be a competition, it would be a war. But at this point in time, if China were to actually step in, what I would say is Bitcoin community would definitely stand to benefit, simply because the rest of China has not even stepped into crypto yet. Okay, even in 2017 December, when Bitcoin was 20K, it wasn't the whole of China in crypto. It was only a small percentage of China. And that is what I'm saying now, the potential of Bitcoin's growth, should all of China be aware of digital currency and come onto cryptocurrency and find out that Bitcoin is the godfather of it all, they would definitely invest in Bitcoin. And what would happen then? Okay, now the way I see it, China has taken a couple of years, some time to actually research onto this to see how they can actually prevent that from happening. Okay, as we all know, China has a currency control, a policy in place whereby you cannot send money out of China, right? So now the thing is, the ban actually happened because a lot of money was flooding out from China into crypto, and they had to put a ban to it immediately. So now the thing is, this cryptocurrency now, if they launch their own digital currency, it would make this flow very seamless. So I'm sure China has already in place a contingency plan to prevent that from happening. Yeah, but the thing now is if you can't fight it, you go along with the flow. Okay, we have already seen the likes of JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, all joining the game already, up to date. Even the likes of Facebook that used to call out cryptocurrency as scam have now finally joined as well with Libra. Okay, it's a matter of time before more and more players all join the game. Okay, this is not speaking out of thin air, but based on the research and the facts that are right now in the industry. So now that being said, okay, every country across the world goes through the same process. Okay, they start with banning it, and then if not banning it, they would actually, find a way to work with and come out policies immediately, watch and play, But many of the time we've seen across the world, across the past 10 years, big countries have just stepped in and just put a blanket ban. Okay, Sandeep mentioned that India did not ban, but the thing is there are actually laws implementing against the retail trade of it. Okay, and I think the whole of the tech community were all like dabbling on the gray lines, not sure whether or not it's legal or not. And then more often than not, they are trying to play outside on the geopolitical angle outside of India itself. Okay, it's the same play as China itself when China did the blanket ban. So many of those companies that were inside found a way, a loophole to come outside of the country to continue operations. Okay, I'm talking about even the likes of Binance, okay, that has proven to be very, very resilient. Okay, when they were banned out of China, the likes of Japan, Korea, they managed to even establish themselves in the likes of Zimbabwe, Uganda, and eventually in Malta. And now today they are saying that they have no HQ, okay, because Bitcoin doesn't have a HQ, and that's a very good call. Yeah. So now the thing is, cryptocurrency, it's all about being resilient, to be able to be on the long time. It's all about being able to outlast all the regulations that are going to hit you from the likes of being compliant to the law. I think all these are very important aspects of surviving in this crypto world. Okay, and like Kendrick mentioned, the rapport that he finds with founders, it is something important that I actually look out in founders themselves. Are they like that? Are they resilient? Are they always thinking of new ways to, tackle the market, get more users, acquire a bigger community? Things like that are very, very important for me as an angel investor that I look out for. And that is something that I would recommend all the retail investors out there to do the same as well. Yeah.
Very, very great points. Very good points, Albert. Thanks a lot for that. So startup founders, learn something from Bitcoin. Thank you. Now I pass the floor to my co-moderator, Nadia. Thank you, Nadia.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonny. So I would like to focus the attention of our investor audiences on probably the new trends after the COVID-19. So if there are some post-COVID strategies for investors, Kendrick, would you highlight something about that?
On the investment strategies for COVID-19 specifically, you mean?
Yes, post-COVID strategy for investors. Would there be any advice you could share with our investor audiences?
Post-COVID, I'm trying to think how it applies to our industry specifically. So I do think post-COVID, and it will depend if there's like an immediate opening up of countries and economies, or kind of a gradual, slow opening with kind of travel restrictions in place. I'm assuming the second. But if it's the first, post-COVID, there should be a lot of deals that come through. So all this stuff that gets kind of backlogged at the moment, or people cannot meet, those things should be fairly quick to close then, because people have the time now to do their research and to make up their minds about, do they really like it? And it's a matter of like meeting the founders. So those things should be able to close quite quickly. If it becomes a thing of like slowly opening up countries and different economies, then then I think it will be much more difficult, and we'll stay in kind of a current situation, and maybe you'll get certain corridors that can speak to each other. I don't know, Hong Kong and Singapore, for example, if they keep COVID under control. So you might be at a big advantage if you're a startup in those certain jurisdictions that are able to travel much more easily. But if traveling still entails being in quarantine in 2 weeks wherever you travel, then then I don't think we should be too optimistic too quickly. But hopefully it will clear up by the end of the year.
Thank you so much, Kendrick. So it's difficult times, and it's the first probably in the history that we have such an event, a global one, a global event, so not even regionally focused. Herbert, would you comment on that? Do you have an advice?
Could you repeat the question again?
Yes. What would be the post-COVID strategy for investors, if you could advise that?
Okay, that's a very good question, actually, for retail investors across the world to be listening in on this. Okay, so now the thing is, we have seen Bitcoin halving that happened recently. And of course, it didn't go as expected. It didn't cross the 10K mark. Okay, but now the thing is, if you would see today, the price has already closing in to about 10,000 today. Okay, so now the thing is, it's expected, okay, for it to go even higher the moment China launches its own cryptocurrency public. Okay, so now the thing is, I'm also expecting India to follow in suit soon. We're not sure when exactly, maybe this year, maybe next, but when India does actually launch their very own crypto, I believe that would actually stir the market as well. Okay, we are seeing a lot of intelligent tech companies from there as well. Okay, we have one here with us, Matic, okay, and many more. Okay, we are seeing an entrance of a lot of Indian tech companies that are stepping up into this blockchain itself. Okay, in fact, if you would see in IBM itself, they have many intelligent Indians, okay, specifically that are taking the C-level positions. Okay, and the way I see it is, should India actually jump on board with crypto completely, I think that would actually shake up the market a little bit. Okay, and now the thing is, we are seeing US that has been actively pressing down on the crypto community still. I think it's they are actually suppressing the community. Okay, but you can't fight the world. Actually, the world is moving towards adopting crypto, and it's a matter of time before US would join the market as well. Okay, more like a couple of days ago, we all heard that Telegram ton is already taken down. I guess that's quite a sad thing for like the whole entire community. The fight for privacy, the fight for decentralization. Okay, the way I see all the money, the billions that are being returned to investors for Telegram, I think retail investors actually now have the chance to actually invest it into other potential projects that are also fighting towards the same cause, fighting towards privacy, decentralization, and power to the people. Okay, I would say look out for projects that are really actively championing the whole privacy angle, from the likes of payment service solutions to even the supply chain and more. Okay, one thing that I actually look towards intently at the moment is actually cloud-based projects. Okay, if you actually do more research on this, you would see the big boys from China like Alibaba and more. They are all looking towards this gameplay as well. Okay, and it's good for investors, actually, retail investors, to look out what the big boys are eyeing at. Okay, look out for the likes of Microsoft, for example, IBM. What are they looking at today? If you would see even the likes of Tesla, Elon Musk, the way that they're all moving towards, it's all AI. Okay, and then you of course slap on the layer of blockchain and human biomedical science and all. So all this play a very good symbiont. if you look out for projects like that, I think, okay, this is not an investment advice per se. Okay, I got to put it out clearly. But it's a recommendation that if you look up for these projects, you do your due diligence, research into the projects before you actually invest in them. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Herbert. And so you addressed a couple of questions with regard to India. So Sandeep, could you join in to this question? And would you like to add something to the post-COVID strategy for investors and maybe address some points which Herbert also mentioned on India?
So from the Indian side, I think in terms of the investments, there is, there's a big lack of investors from India. So we have a large retail community, we have a large developer community, but we don't have too many, investors from India. Binance has recently, announced, I think a $50 million kind of fund for India. So I think they would be investing in Indian companies very actively, and then that has excited a lot of different other different funds also. Post COVID, like I think I agree with what Herbert said, that in this markets will get you to know more to know more people who are resilient, who are what we call anti-fragile, right? So I think like if you take our example, only last year in 2018 2000 end of 17, when the whole beer market started coming in, we were kind of one of the only projects from India doing it, trying to raise funds and trying to go in a global scale. And we had a lot of problems, like with all these ban and kind of negative news floating around, plus a few projects from India had done like some bad things, like maybe some scammy kind of stuff. So that was the kind of image we were fighting against. So we had to keep contributing to the open source community, and over the time people realized that this is something great. And then even Binance and Coinbase realized that the work and the contribution that we are putting. So for the investors, I would say that I would completely agree that look for the people who stay anti-fragile in these tough situations. And post that, I also want to emphasize that people who get adoption in these bad markets, who are able to get some level of adoption in these markets, they can be really big boys to watch out for. And right now, as I said, that we are also currently looking to we are anyways providing grants. Grants are very small level grants to get the projects to their MVP stage. But once some project is able to capture adoption, is able to get to, let's say, 50,000 or 100,000 users, we can even help them with larger kind of investments and connect them with our kind of investment base, because currently right now most of the investors in space know us. So for investors, look out for the adoption and the anti-fragility in the startups. And for startups, I would say that this is the time where you survive and keep growing, even if these are small steps. Keep growing in these markets, keep getting more and more users. And I think when the markets clear up, and there's more like there's less of uncertainty, I'm pretty sure that you guys would be able to make it. Yeah.
Thank you, Sandeep. And you addressed a very good question, which I would like to also address to Ruben. So in terms of what would be the recipe for successful startups to stay alive now, and what would you advise in terms of resilience and sustainability?
I think right now, treat your cash as something as really, really precious. I mean, I've seen some other projects in the space still very eager to throw marketing dollars and have lots and lots of airdrops. And, I do think that I actually feel that this market actually should teach you like how to maintain frugality and at the same time learn to be efficient about the usage of your resources, right? And this is something that I think a lot of projects, especially in the blockchain space, because people can still raise like $5 million, $10 million on just basically what is the white paper in, and these people have no experience with dealing with the type of money like that, right? And unlike in the traditional investment space where you have to meet certain milestones to get your money, most of the time you get the money right up front, and you feel like, oh yeah, I have 10 million, I can just have this and that, and this is actually something Zcoin learned as well. I wouldn't say we were awash with money, but we were definitely we were more open to hosting events, travel and conferences. And I think this kind of, like, right now I'm like thinking, all right, do I have enough money to do my code audits? Do I have enough money to build my community? Do I have cryptographers that can continue to deliver and retain my developers? And I think startups should be in this like conservation with like conservative growth, like, yeah, invest in talent and stuff like that, but don't look at like sponsor like spend $50,000 on a booth or something like that. I think that's although you may have a lot of money, you should be treating your whatever money you raise as if that you're prepared for a several years of bear market. Anyway, that's my advice.
No, I just want to, it's a very interesting point. And actually, not only in these bad markets, even in the good markets, you should not throw $50,000 at events and all. And I think this is something that everybody should learn from Binance. Like, even if like they are like one of the most profitable company in the space, maybe across industries also, they are one of the most successful this thing. But then they are very, very frugal in their expenditure, and then they try to make use of their resources, brand, everything to do most of these activities, especially on the marketing side. And they might be spending more on tech, which actually is their business, providing people a solid platform for exchange. So the frugality is something which is very, very important in these markets. But even in general, for any startup, it's like one of the most important thing. Like, cash is the king. Everybody should know that. Yeah.
Thank you, Sandeep. And Kenrick, would you like to add something to the survival recipes for startups?
I think that's all very good points. A lot of success of startups is simply surviving these types of markets, because a lot of your competitors will die. I think the statistics for startups, right? What is it, 80-90% or so, that will eventually fail. And a lot of that will happen during times like this. Like the same happened in 2001 during like the dot-com bust. There was just a lot of companies that went away, and the ones that survived for the next 1, 2, 3 years, they had enough runway, they were able to pivot and kind of find that product market fit at that time. So yes, absolutely, it's completely about survival now. If you come out of this period, say next year or so, or even the year after, nobody knows how long it's going to last. If you come out of it, a lot of your competition will have disappeared, and there will be very few new entrants in the market at that time. So then you have a very big open playing field. So got to be cockroach and kind of survive the winter, and then you'll come out on top on the other end.
I like to jump in here real quick. I think all the panelists actually make very good points about being frugal, surviving through the crypto winter, being a cockroach, right? Cockroach lives since dinosaur time.
Spirit
so
animal,
up to date.
cockroach.
Yeah. So I would actually play the devil advocate here. I'm a marketer by expertise. Over a decade now, even my PhD thesis right now is also towards a marketing angle using artificial intelligence and geopolitics. Now, the thing is, being the devil advocate here, I would actually say, find a way actually to splash money into marketing. Okay, it's something that you actually learn in MBA. Okay, be that purple cow. You're driving past a cow farm every day. Okay, you're seeing the white and black same cows every day. Okay, but if you one day drive past and you actually see a purple cow, you would actually take a second glance, like, whoa, what is that? Okay, you would actually take a second look. Okay, it's all about the blue ocean strategy. You need to position yourself different. You are that one specific different project among the hundreds of thousands out there. Okay, if you can differentiate yourself so well, even in a bear market, investors will be throwing money at you. Okay, talk about the likes of Zoom. Okay, even in this bear market, they are still raising money. Okay, talk about the likes of investors that went into air ventilators. Okay, they are the ones that not just survive, they triumph, they succeed, they climb to the peak. You know, so now the thing is, actually during a time like this, it's when you actually make yourself stand out. You make yourself so visible for all the investors to be like, wow, this is the project I want to invest in. Okay, yes, it's a good thing to survive, but it is even better if you succeed and become number one. Okay, the likes of Binance, you see, they are not cutting back on their expenses. They are still going all out. In fact, the top companies, they're out there in the market, they are still going at it. In fact, they are finding different ways, being resilient about it. If they can't do it face to face, they do it online. Okay, like the likes of Latoken. Look at the panel discussion we're having today. You see, if they can't have a live panel session, you know, physically, they do it online. And that is what I would recommend all projects across the world that's listening into this to actually take it up the next level, take it up a different angle, take it up the next level. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Herbert. And you touched a bit my next question and the final one on today's round of questions. It's how to pivot your business model to succeed, actually, not only to survive. And you addressed this question perfectly. So, Sandeep, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
Herbert just highlighted that it's good not only to survive during these times, but also to succeed. And probably you would need to pivot your business model a bit to be number one in your segment, while other of your competitors may die or disappear during the COVID-19 pandemic. So what would you advise in terms of the emergent trends, how to catch up with these trends and how to head these trends and be visible to investors?
Got it. Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting point from Herbert. And you know, the main thing is that, you know, for any startup or success in this space, there's no set formula. If there was a set formula, everybody would become so, right? So you have to be frugal. You have to, at the same time, as Herbert said, that you have to spend dollars, splash dollars where it makes sense. And that's exactly what what we are talking about. At one hand, I'm talking that, you know, Binance is very frugal and all that, and on other hand, Herbert is also telling you that Binance is not cutting back on their expenses. That means they are spending on building more and more products. They are bringing in Binance Smart Chain. They are investing in the projects and all that. So as a startup, you actually end up doing, you know, many of these things together, and that's when you become a winner. So when, you know, we are saying that you know, you need to survive, you need to be able to survive and still growing in this, you will grow only when you are able to do some of these tactical maneuvers, like what Herbert was talking, that, you know, maybe splash some dollars on some particular event, or you know, like for example, even I'll give my example. So, you know, we are a layer 2 project, and then, you know, the prominent layer 2 project in the market was Loom Network, and then, you know, Loom Network has a lot of issues and all that. So what we realized that, okay, you know, there is a, you know, Loom Network might not be able to survive because of the current network dynamics. So we actually you know, reached out to a lot of Loom Network teams, and, you know, saw that if they have any problems with the network, turns out that many of them were facing a lot of issues in terms of development and everything. And then we, you know, kind of help them to migrate. We even, you know, maybe spent from our side in terms of providing them the right resources, right documentation, everything. And then when many of them started moving on, right? So these kind of like, and due to that, now this has become like a snowball effect. Like many of the teams whom we don't even reach out to, they reach out to us that, hey, I was considering building on Loom, now I want to move on to Matic. So that kind of things, you know, happen for a startup. So I think, you know, at the end of the day, you have to be very ingenuous. There is no set formula for anybody's success. You know, you need to find your own formula of success, and, you know, find these maneuvers somewhere and be successful.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. I just wanted to, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say a few words on Herbert's comment that I wanted to say, which I really liked. This is the time to not only survive, but to succeed like a cockroach. I really like that. I mean, this is why applies to Latoken very much as well. In the sense, we've just launched our 24/7 VCTV, which is the venture capital TV, in matter of few days after COVID-19 hit the economy. So obviously we are gathering people like yourself who are industry leaders and influencers to exchange the ideas in the platform that we are doing right now. And the users of Latoken are watching us right now online and receiving the fresh data from the top online players like yourself. While we're trading 24/7 as well. Sorry, I just want to add, because obviously this is a very key point for any startup, not only survive, but succeed at these times. Thank you. Over to you, Nadia. Nadia, you are on mute.
Yes, I just wrote that we actually need to start with the pitch competition now, and probably we need to introduce our projects to start the pitch competition and see what the key points we addressed now during the investor panel discussion are highlighted in their pitch presentation, how they survived in the COVID-19, and we'll be able to give the feedback during the Q&A session as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the first project to pitch today, Winston Pay, and we have Hervé Lancorn, the CIO of Winston Pay. Over to you, Hervé.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Let me share my screen and give you, oh, I have the wrong screen. Let me move the presentation there.
Wow.
Okay. Let me start. As we're talking about crisis, I wanted to make a point that when you look at the written word in Chinese of crisis, it actually means disaster, and the other one is opportunity. And I would like to focus my opinion on really the opportunity that comes from the COVID virus. Number one, I don't get to travel as much, and that's why I could attend this meeting. As otherwise I'd probably be on the way to a meeting in North Africa. But number two, we have found a unique use for our trusted key to basically address the unbanked and also the technology challenged. So first of all, I'll give you a quick overview of Winston Pay network. Now, we started 20 years ago. I left banking and built the first SaaS model for a foreign exchange platform, and that's Trade Solutions Group. That's been and is still around selling software as a service for global payment, Forex, and as well as multi-currency account. Then we expanded recently to the instant world of basically providing instant payment regardless of the currency. And that's what Winston Pay is all about. Tying all of this together, we've externalized the KYC component, which is World KYC, in order to link basically the compliance to payments, whether they are on the blockchain, off the blockchain. We see that as a key component is more important pre-COVID to financial institution and being able to keep your bank account open. Whether you're a foreign exchange company, a small bank in, how would I say, in Laos or in Cambodia, it's very difficult to manage those correspondent accounts. So I'll start a little bit by saying my experience, right? I started FinTech before FinTech. I built the first web-based letter credit system and trade finance collaboration platform when I was a banker at Imperial Bank in California. We called it Swift Trade. Nothing related to Swift, but sounded kind of good. We were a Microsoft case study. We received the President's E Award from the US for supporting export. And we also have been very involved in the technology as well as kind of waking up the banker a little bit. I was a speaker at APEC. I mentioned you're in Cochin. Somebody was in Cochin. This is where my first speaking in APEC was as a French citizen representing the US for e-payment. And we've been pushing as well electronic presentation of document, that's the EUCP, among letters of credit and trade finance type of services. So our first platform, TSG, includes what I call trade enabler. That's traditional trade finance. And it's basically, I won't go through all the detail, but the boring letters of credit. I must add, when I started in banking, I was a young MBA graduate, and I figured that letters of credit are going to die within a year, right? That's 30 years ago. There's, of course, less letters of credit today. There's more trust across the world. There's more volume across the world, but there is still a need for letters of credit. So we have still a SaaS model helping some of the smaller bank in collaborating. One of our first kind of collaboration bank to bank was with Bank of America and Bank of Queensland, which started using our platform 15 years ago. Bank of Queensland still use our platform for trade finance, which, as I say, is boring, but as an opportunity, especially with blockchain and documents going over the internet. The next platform is our foreign exchange. And I will start by saying that we've expanded the foreign exchange to handle crypto. In my mind, trading crypto is just like trading fiat currency. Crypto has just more volatility and more liquidity. Most of the crypto, or if not all of the crypto, is traded over an exchange, so like a security, rather than over the counter like currencies today. And we see basically that our experience and our technology being the foundation to be able to facilitate payments and exchange, whether it's crypto, fiat, commodities, securities in the future. Global payments has been a tool that has been sold separately, and we felt even before crypto, being able to have a multi-currency account, being able to process payment, the compliance attached to this is important. In the payment space, last year, a company called Earthport, which we interface with, was acquired by Visa for £257 billion, which is over $300 million. And we interface with Earthport, and their technology they have is not very sophisticated, but it really leveraged the instant payment capability well, not the instant payment, but accelerating the payment. We have worked, as I mentioned earlier, with Bank of Queensland, and we've moved the straight-through processing from low 80s to 98% with them. That includes a lot of validation and knowledge about the local payment and tying local payments kind of across the globe. Visa acquired Earthport thinking this is an $80 trillion market today, payment from account to account, and something that's not negligible. And as you'll see later on, I'll talk about how, as a network, we can join those type of payment and generate and maybe compete with Visa. So now let's come to the exciting part. Winston Pay was created as I felt we live in an instant world. We need to have instant payment, and we also need to have compliance with anonymity of payment. So on our platform, you can have a wallet account, which is basically a bank account if you're in a bank, and be able to share payment with anonymity using a private ID, Winston Pay ID, which is basically an alias that we've had in our platform. We also have the ability to facilitate the blend between crypto and digital. We basically have, within our platform, you can pay a merchant in Thai baht with Bitcoin. And you decide whether you want to exchange your Bitcoin to Thai baht, or whether you let a custodian or an exchange take the currency risk and exchange on the fly your Thai baht to crypto. That's what we've built in our platform, liquidation preference, which is partially used by companies such as Revolut, $5 billion valuation, to be able to facilitate that exchange and make it so that the merchant doesn't have to deal with the complexity of crypto in order to accept crypto, and then get baby steps into understanding both the technology and the risk associated or reward with crypto. The other key things since we built our platform based on corporate treasury, we're the unique wallet whereby we can be an actual business wallet with dual control capability, multiple users, so user can only accept payment while other can create payment and not approve them. So those dual controls that are present in the corporate world, we feel needed to be in there. And integrating that with the crypto world is something that we see as a big opportunity. Then I mentioned a little bit before the trusted key. So trusted key is basically technology that we're looking into patenting, is basically attaching to a wallet a physical or digital key where you give delegated authority. What that means is I can use my Commonwealth Bank card with the tap and pay technology, link it to my wallet, and then as we interface with point of sale across the globe, you can tap and pay using really a different rail. The different rail is important because it is, and I'll talk a little bit more about it, it's really more of a final payment. So when I use this card, I rely on credit. The merchant has to rely on credit. We don't have to do that with our platform. The anonymity, the liquidation preference, and we do that through Pay ID.
Sorry to interrupt, Herbert. You just got 1 more minute. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. So I'll fly through the rest. Huge opportunity on the settlement using stablecoin for settlement. We see there is an opportunity because there's a full lack of transparency in companies like Tether. We can reconcile the blockchain liability with the asset on the bank side. And we feel we're working right now with a potential stablecoin with a nation in Africa. I'll go the identity management, World KYC really quickly. Keep your information private within profile so you can organize them to distribute them later. When we talk about the identity synchronization, it's being able to share for, like we're working with Orange Money to be able to create templates so that we can ease the transfer of those information, but also synchronizing compliance with the payment using the unique IDs that are coming in the blockchain or in the banking world, the Swift GPI connectivity. I'll do quickly risk management, onboarding, and AML. That's kind of boring. We do that, and we can do that. And quickly on the funding, right now we're a little bit pre-funding. We're looking to commercialize our product and grow our network. We're looking at JV with undervalued public company. And we see the utility token as historically being used similarly with Swift, where banks needed to be investor in Swift in order to participate. We see the same parallel and the opportunity to create a utility token along with basically preferred shares for the investment. Did I accelerate it fast enough?
Perfect. Very good speech. So is it over?
That's
okay. Cool.
I tried to time it to go quickly.
Thanks a lot.
It was very condensed. And,
very good speech. Over to the next speaker, Govancho, co-founder of Sensi Trust. Over to you, Govancho.
Hi, everybody. I will share my screen right now. So, okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Gianvito Pio. I'm a co-founder of Sensi Trust. It is a startup incorporated in UK. And we are going to fund our project right now, and I will show you the idea of our project. I will start from the motivations that brought out to this idea, and we started from our field, that is the academy, because I am a researcher at the university. But we extended this kind of issues in, let's say, in an extended way, in a general way, and this motivation comes from inefficiencies in real life sectors. When you come to hire people, find resources of any kind, or you have to validate results. And this is much more important in this moment where smart working is the standard way to work. So it is much more difficult to hire people, evaluate their skills, and evaluate the quality of a product or service they are going to offer. What is SensiTrust? SensiTrust is an idea about a decentralized job marketplace, decentralized in a way where you can hire people from all over the world, and you can actually trust them because what they say is guaranteed, and it cannot be cheated. You cannot declare fake CVs, because everything that you can see on the platform will be certified by real activities. And how we want to achieve this? We want to exploit blockchain technologies to guarantee the work process to reach the final result of a product or a service. So we want to track agreements, constraints, and checkpoints, and revisions, feedbacks, and so on. But in order to do this, we want to also integrate artificial intelligence technologies. Since we are expert in this field, the whole team comes from the AI and machine learning field, almost the whole team. And we want to integrate this kind of technologies to automate some processes, like reviewing the product or reviewing the service or making suggestions and so on. SensiTrust will also be a place to learn and grow, and this is specifically for trainees or for inexpert professionals, where they will have the opportunity to gain access to training materials or to work with the well-established professionals. So our solutions work focused on three main scenarios. So the first one is you are a customer that wants to find a professional or to ask for a product or to hire him for a service, and you want to be sure that that kind of professional or that professional is actually able to perform that task. The second one is that you are a professional, you want to find job opportunities. And in this case, you will be matched with the most appropriate opportunities according to your real skill that you have to prove through actual activities in our platform. And of course, we invented this kind of proof of result because it is something that you cannot self-declare. You must prove that you are really able to do something, and also constraints and I would say time constraints, KPIs of the products and service must be truly verified. And we will do this combining blockchain and artificial intelligence technologies. The most important part is the call to action way to participate. What is this? If you are an entrepreneur and you want to find a team to realize a project, so you have the money, but you don't have the technical skills, so you don't have a team, you just put it down the idea and you can hire people, you can find a team in an international, worldwide way. And in this way, you can put together a team that will be able to implement for real this project. Of course, also in this case, there will be a match between the required skills and the professionals. As I told before, we will exploit artificial intelligence technologies. These are the some use cases. So we will use it to predict the customer satisfaction for a specific scenario, and this will be used to better match the required specification of a product with professionals. And we will also use these technologies to recommend some specification when a customer is going to put, to specify, to describe the product or service that he wants. We will also use to make suggestions in a recommender way. So we suggest opportunities to professionals, or we suggest professional to customers. And the most challenging part is the automated review of results, because in this specific case, we want to build an AI engine that is able to evaluate the quality of the product or the quality of the service provided. Of course, we should, in this case, train some specific AI engine for different fields. We also aim to implement some specific sub-platforms. We have thought about one sub-platform for the IT field to facilitate hiring of also unusual human resources or to gain access to some resources. And also in this case, we will facilitate this through coding challenges that can be also used for pre-screening people. Another field is banking and trading, because also in this case we have a large market to going on, and some possible use scenarios are when they want to hire people as data analysts to monitor and perform trading operations, or if they want to, as previously told, they want to move from a traditional way to perform some tasks to blockchain-based solutions. And the third sub-platform that we are going to implement is for the academy field, because this is our, we are born. So in this case, we have a lot of difficulties, starting from hiring people, starting from finding international teams to implement the projects, obtaining algorithms, obtaining datasets, and so on. This can be one of the fruitful cases where Sensitrust can provide the contribution. This is the current team. As I told you at the beginning, we mostly come from the academy, from the artificial intelligence and machine learning field, but we also have people that are developers and business consultants and so on. We also are issuing a token. It is an RC20 token. It's a utility token. It will be used to gain access to platform services, including the platform consultant, the access to specific KPIs when you are going to hire a professional, the access to training resource, the access to professional when you are a trainee and you want to participate in new activities and so on. Of course, we also offer membership subscriptions that are all-inclusive packages, and all these services will be accessible through our token. We are currently in the pre-sale phase of our token, and we are performing it on our own platform. So it is already live, and we are going to raise some funds and start implementing this project. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot. That was awesome. Now let's quickly move over to our judges. I would like to start with Kendrick first. Would you like to give your feedback about both the projects?
Sure. So I think as a general suggestion, just on the presentation for both, cut down the number of words on your slides by about 90%. People who follow these pitches, they don't have time to read. Like they're not going to read everything. You want to have your key message at the top of the slides, and then like 1 or 2 graphics and maybe 1 or 2 extra words next to it. Make it more visual. Like there's way too many words on there. Like nobody follows that. So that's one thing in terms of the presentation. I think on Winston Pay, it wasn't very clear to me like what the target customer is and also who the competitors in this space would be. I think it would be helpful to highlight that. And on Sensitrust, I think it sounds to me like it's a marketplace type of model, and with a marketplace type of model, you have the chicken and egg problem always in terms of like who are you bringing in first, your demand and supply, and how do you make sure that that's balanced. Like you will for sure get a question from your investors. And also I'm not sure at the moment if you can still raise that through a utility token. I think you might get a better response if you offer simple equity for investors. So I guess those are my key points for the project.
Okay, great points to be noted. Thank you. Hubbard, over to you.
Okay, so I guess Kendrick is on the spot as well. I didn't really get what Winston Pay's target audience is. It's very important to be focused on a specific target market, specific demographics as well, and then you go all out to attack and conquer that. It's very important to differentiate yourself from the other competitors as well. Yeah. About Sensi Trust, because personally I have a PhD myself into economics and artificial intelligence. So I really like that angle. In fact, I'm going to be looking more into this after this chat as well. And then probably I might ask Genvito more on this. But meanwhile, I think it's also good to share about the current team and the structure, like who is on board your team. Okay, for me, it's very important that the founders all have the required expertise to actually take this project off. Yeah.
Sandeep?
Yeah, so from my side, so first on the Sensi Trust, I think, multiple projects before have tried to, do something like that. Like, for example, ETH Lancer, you would be knowing, right? So something like that. So, just try to learn and accommodate their learnings too. Like, for example, I would like to know that how you are looking to do some of those things differently, so that you would be able to go past what ETH Lancer did, and some other projects. I think there was one or two more projects which listed on few exchanges which also had the, I think, KU Coin, some project, I'm forgetting the name of the project. Just look at what they did wrong and how you can avoid those mistakes. Apart from that, I also agree to Kendrick that I'm not sure how this marketplace would be better suited with a utility token, and I would like to know the token utility later on. And I will definitely want to interact with you, because decentralized marketplaces is one field where everybody is looking at, that some one of them can be big, but we would love to know what exactly is the token utility. Is it like simply a payment token? Because payment tokens are like so 2017, nobody kind of funds payment tokens these days, and also they don't have a long-term value accrual, plus they are a bad user experience, because if your participants or the people who are doing the job, they are getting paid in a speculative token which can go 20% up and down any second. They don't I don't think that's a good utility for this. So you'll have to I would love to get more info on that. And on Winston Pay, I think the idea is very bold, and from the very start, it's like a very sort of a large scale this thing, like you want to provide a lot of different legs to the solution, which is kind of of course a big problem, but it would like I would like to understand more, as Kendrick and Herbert said, that what market sizes or what market target segments you are targeting, and who are your current competitors, so that one can benchmark that, okay, this is what you're trying to do, this is your current competitors are doing, they're doing it in this way, and how you are doing it differently, so that you can be successful. So that would be my input also on the Winston Pay side.
Very good points there. Ruben, over to you now. Thank you.
With Winston Pay, I think one of the things, like as mentioned, Air Wallet, Wallax, and Revolut was mentioned. Of course, that means you recognize who your competitors are, but that slide didn't really tell me, why. What is better about Winston Pay? I mean, of course, it's a very competitive space, and these projects are very, very well funded as well. And one of the things that it seems to be like, okay, I am like them, but I can accept crypto at the same time. I don't think that's enough of a differentiator. I may be missing other differentiating points, and I definitely understand you had limited time to present, but obviously I think the presentation needs to be a lot more condensed, especially given the circumstances. The other thing that I actually did install the Winston Pay wallet. and I was just like preparing, trying to understand, and I don't know if that's cheating. But one of the things is like, if I'm going to trust this as like an alternative to banks, I found the interface felt dated, like it felt something from the like early 2000s. Which, I mean, it can be definitely worked on, but it's just a side point that, if I'm actually like, worried about using AirWallex or TransferWise or all this other Revolut, because I'm like, there's still this part of me like saying, how are they still providing the same sort of security as a regular user, right? And if the interface looks something like off, it gives off a feeling that, I'm not going to trust this product. But definitely you can fix that. With SensiTrust, one of the things I am like kind of confused, like, the need for a decentralized job marketplace. I mean, obviously we have, lots of online job marketplaces, of course, decentralization is great. I don't quite see the fit here in a decentralized job marketplace. And obviously, like, the artificial intelligence is, basically algorithms and stuff like that. I think, and it seems to be you're quite ambitious. Like, there's the academy, there's the I think you had 3 limbs, right? And I felt that maybe it would have been better to just lock down one, especially as a startup, to lock down one site and then expand rather than try to start too many, because you're gonna have a problem of like, finding all these people to fill your marketplaces. You don't want to be filling 3. You want to be making sure that you corner that particular market rather than trying 3 different things. So that's my feedback for that. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your feedback. I think this is for the projects who are just pitching today for them to take back and work on that. Thank you. Before we close off, I just wanted to know from each of you, what do you think about this format, this online roadshows that we've just started since February, and we do that every day. What do you think, Herbert? I'd like to start with you. What do you think about this, our roadshows that we do online?
Okay, that's where we actually talk good stuff about this thing, right? Okay, I guess it's good that during this COVID-19, we're still proactively engaging the community in however way we do it, be it online, social media, and more. So it's a good initiative that Latoken is actually helping to organize and push all this like video panels. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Kendrick?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a great way to host these events rather than, having to physically be somewhere or go somewhere, which is a lot of cost, efforts, and for everybody involved. I think these are very good kind of screening ways of putting more people in touch with each other and see if there's a fit. And then if there's a fit, they can still meet up afterwards, right? So yeah, I do think these are very helpful, and a lot of people can tune in who might otherwise not be able to join. So yeah, great job.
Thank you, Kendrick. Ruben?
I'm a big fan of virtual conferences or like virtual meetups like this. I guess the only feedback I felt like, it's us giving feedback to the pitch participants without having them time to respond to us. I'm sure we got something wrong. It would have been good to have, I guess, more time so that, they could like elaborate their point and to be fair to them rather than like we're passing judgment on them without any way for them to respond. Yeah, that's my only feedback.
Okay, thank you. Noted. Points noted on that.
We can give 15 minutes more to the projects if they want to elaborate on the points mentioned by investors.
Yeah. I totally want to actually hear from both Winston Pei and SensiTrust on the questions we asked earlier. I think that will really help give the audience like a viewpoint.
Okay, let's Sonny give a word. So Sonny, please finalize your part, and probably we can have another 15 minutes to the projects asking and answering questions.
Okay, that's good. Sandeep, would you like to give your feedback before we move to the projects?
Yes, absolutely. So I think these sessions are very good, and I actually asked my team also to have a look at the projects that you bring on board, here. And I also reached out to you that anytime you want to connect any of these projects for any grants related to Matic, or maybe portray them to our even investment group also, in terms of like if some of those projects make sense for the Matic ecosystem. The base condition is that they needs to be connected to the Matic ecosystem, Matic blockchains and everything. So I think that in that sense, it's a very good opportunity, and for the projects to interact with the investors, and for ecosystems like us to also interact with the projects. So I would love to see more and more of these. And there should also be a channel wherein post the event we could touch base with the projects. And if somebody likes some particular project, or some project wants to reach to us, they should have some channel to reach out to us.
Okay, great points noted. We just given 15 more minutes to the projects. Winston Pay, any questions, further questions for Winston Pay that you would like to hear from them for further clarifications? Anyone can go first.
Okay, so the very first question I asked earlier was with regards to the target audience itself. If you could share with the viewers tuning in on what your exact demographics are, what plans you have towards tackling that.
Okay, so that's a very good question, and actually, as part of that, I'd like to address the comment from Ruben. We don't intend to be a competitor to Airwallex and so forth. And also I take the fact that our UI is age, but this is more of a UI that's supposed to be the backend for other financial institutions. So if we look at the example of Airwallex, raised 100 million at $1 billion valuation in March in Australia. Our client, Bank of Queensland, has the same capability with our platform, but is not expanding in that area and is only worth $2 billion. And they're a huge bank with a large presence. So our target is really financial institutions around the globe, whether they're banks, foreign exchange company, or crypto exchange, to facilitate a network whereby they can, a decentralized network, whereby they can clear fiat payment or a crypto payment and tying it to the compliance. So we see a network being built, leveraging our technology in order to facilitate really the local player to work on a global scale. So another example would be PayPal. People say, oh, you're just like PayPal. No, we're not like PayPal. PayPal had a great success and failures in India. They were doing so well that the bank in India came back and said to the central bank, wait a minute, they're taking our business. And ultimately, the Central Bank of India said PayPal not more than $500. And you have the similar aspect in America with Zelle that competed with PayPal's company Venmo to be able to do peer-to-peer payment. Those are all domestic, retail, and not international. We can expand that and blend that, but we don't intend to be the competitor by ourselves. That's why we're creating a network, and we want to facilitate the players to be able to compete locally, whether it's with some of the players that are Revolut in Europe, M-Pesa in Africa. Those are tools that banks and traditional regulated financial institutions can use to connect and settle with and basically compete.
Okay, thank you. Any other further questions for Winston Pay? Ruben, Kendrick, any further questions for Winston Pay? No. Okay, what about
I might add on the fact that we had too much details. I was torn between the fact of just giving you a highlight, because the 10 minutes is very short, and giving you the details so you can read it, but I had no intention on reading it, just basically going, because I know this presentation is then delivered offline for people that want to see it, and more than willing to answer question about some of the specific details there.
Sure. So move on to Sensi Trust. Any questions for them for further clarifications?
So I guess the main one is like, what's the use case for the decentralized aspect of the job marketplace, right? I think that's a big question that we have. Yeah.
Yeah, it is an interesting question. Indeed, it will not be fully decentralized. I mean, there will be some aspects that will be done on-chain and some aspects that will be done off-chain. For example, we aim to put on the blockchain, on the public blockchain, everything related to the feedbacks and to some key points of the process that brings from the idea to the realization of the product. Of course, we will not have details about products and services on the blockchain. We will not have the artificial intelligence engine on the blockchain, of course. There will be some aspects that will be centralized, some aspects will be decentralized, and we aim to integrate these technologies. Of course, there is another important question. The question was about focusing on one sub-platform rather than everything. The initial goal is to bring a general platform where we can have professionals, freelancer, and activity and customers. But we aim to designing specific sub-platform with specific needs of those kinds of fields. Of course, it will depend, and we will start developing some platforms on a later stage. We will initially focus on the general platform. As regards the utility token, I want to point out that our token will be only used to buy the platform services. So if a professional wants to advertise his activities, or if a customer wants to have stronger guarantees, or if a trainee wants to buy some training materials, he will use our token. But to pay a product or a service to a professional, we will use standard ways, including fiat currencies and more stable cryptocurrencies. So our token is not a payment token, it's a pure utility token.
Excellent. Any further clarifications needed from Sensi Trust?
One of the things. Okay, go ahead, Herbert. You.
Okay, so similar to like Winston Pay, I think the question would be, what is your target audience? You know, okay, there would be different phases of your roadmap. I think it's important to actually focus on a few target markets first before actually expanding to a global reach. So yeah, maybe if you can share more.
Okay, so you are suggesting to start from small to the big, the general, from the specific to the general. Actually, we thought about going from the general to the specific. I mean, going from the general with few functionalities that could work in almost cases, and then focus on those markets that appear more interested in our product. Because you may know that, for example, for the academy, there are some specific needs that need to be considered. For example, if you want to realize, if you want to apply for funding for an European project, in our case, you must find some partners. You must satisfy a lot of constraints. They should be distributed in a specific way. They should have complementary skills and so on. We can support this, but of course we cannot implement these specific things for the general platform. It will be overwhelming for people. So our goal is to make some basic platform that can work in almost all cases, and then focus on these sub-platforms, and then provide specific details, specific features for this kind of scenarios. So the goal here is go worldwide at first, but of course we are available to hear from your suggestions.
Ruben, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, just a small note. Like one of the things that you mentioned, that your team reflects that you have the capabilities to do that, and I couldn't help but notice. But I think almost maybe 1/3 of them are like professors, and I was wondering like, hey, don't they have jobs as well? Are they like advisors? Are they actually like members of your team? Because obviously when I'm looking at the team, I want to make sure that you have the right people to actually do the grunt work, right? Not just on the high level or the research level. There has to be people actually doing the coding and things like that. And I don't see that with the published team members. Of course, maybe not everyone's listed, but just something I wanted to hear from you. Yeah.
Yeah, together with being a researcher, I'm a teacher at the university. So we actually build expertise in our university, especially because we work in the computer science department, and we mainly focus on machine learning and artificial intelligence field. We have specific degrees for that. So the overall goal would be also to involve our students, graduating students in the development of our project. And we are also, personally, I introduced a course on blockchain technologies and the security in blockchain technologies in our PhD course. So the goal is to involve them also. Of course, you need people that must do the raw work together with those that design them. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further clarifications?
Well, it would seem like right now we have a lot more people tuning in. I think the comment segment is getting very, we are getting a lot of comments now. I think we should do maybe a quick recap of maybe what people might have missed right at the start, right?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think very quickly, it's more about for the retail investors as well, what to expect during this period of time of COVID-19 pandemic. I guess everybody across the world right now, the industry is taking a beating. Okay, across every single industry, the economics of it all is being shaken up. Okay, we're seeing people that are all working from home, cut back on spending on consumerism and more. Okay, now the thing is, that said, investors are still looking for a way to make their money work for them, right? So if you actually invest in a good project or a potential investment, example Bitcoin, and it makes you back money, so you actually get to tide through during this period of time. Okay, so now that being said, I want to draw everybody's attention back to Bitcoin itself. Okay, so the last couple of days since Tuesday, we saw the Bitcoin halving that happened. Okay, I think many experts were weighing in that Bitcoin price would shoot up to 25,000, 50,000 and more. But on the hindsight, that although that didn't happen, what we saw is today, the Bitcoin price has increased as well. Okay, the way I see it is the moment China launches their own cryptocurrency, their national cryptocurrency, things will shift again drastically. The way I see it, it's going to become bullish. Okay, and we're going to see the likes of, say, India. They have recently lifted the ban. Okay, it's a matter of time before eventually launching their own cryptocurrency. Who knows? Okay, and of course, the likes of US-China trade war. US is not going to be sitting on the sidelines and doing nothing. They're definitely going to be tackling this soon, even though at the moment it might sound very bearish because a couple of days ago, Telegram, as we all know, Ton was shut down. So the thing that said, all the investors, the billions of investors have their money returned. Okay, the billions of dollars returned. So now it is the high time for those investors from Telegram to actually pick one of the altcoins that is currently championing this privacy, decentralization, and it's all about the blockchain, So now the thing is, find a project that best represents this and invest towards their future. But now that being said, please do your due diligence before investing into any other projects. What you've seen across the whole entire video, if you do a replay later, what will happen is you would see the panelists actually questioning the current two projects, Winston Pay and Santi Trust, on what they see valuable, okay, in a single project itself, be it from founders to the technology, to the expertise they bring to the table, to even being like a cockroach, like what Kendrick shared, to being able to survive, being resilient to tide through the tough period of time. Yeah. So that's my quick recap from my point of view. I guess I'll hand it over to the rest of the speakers here.
Thank you. Anybody else? Fantastic, Herbert. Thanks a lot for that. Anybody else want to do a quick recap? Kenrick?
No, I think most of the points have been mentioned, right? So it's also for like on the investor side. I think it's we also get a lot of pitches where the projects haven't done their kind of research in terms of who they should pitch to, and that's kind of a waste of time for them as well. Like find the VC or the investor that fits not just fits your industry and fits your project, but also fits your stage, right? So you can find out by looking at some of the other companies that they've invested in. So like if we get pitches for companies that are Series A, Series B and above, like it's not something that we would do. Like we do seed or pre-seed kind of investments, and a lot of companies don't really look at that when they send their pitch or when they try and get in touch with you. So also just be very selective in terms of who you speak to. If you're just starting your company, look for some angels, reach out to them. Rather than going to VC straight away. It kind of shows that you then haven't done your homework. So that's I think an important part for the companies to keep in mind. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Perfect. Angels first, then VCs. Anybody else? Quick recap. Sandeep.
No, I mean nothing on my side. Most of it has been covered.
Okay, great. I think we've just far too long into the session, like 2 hours nearly. I'm passing the floor to Nadia now.
So thank you, everybody, for participating in today's Investment Roadshow, and we welcome you to participate in the further runs. As advised, you can select some of the topics, and soon we'll be doing some industry-specialized events. Today, in about 1 hour, we'll have our Startup Leaders Club, where startup leaders could share their experience and how do they pivot their business models, as we discussed today, for instance, how they survive, how do they adjust to the current environment. I also have co-moderating investors on my panels so that they could get some direct feedback on that as well. So thank you. Join our events and stay healthy and succeed in this environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Alit, for inviting us.
Are we off
Guys.
air now?
Good night.
See you later.
Okay.